you came to me for some help regarding your guided reading. I know guided reading has been our big focus, and so you wanted to talk about how to kind of master specific components of guided reading, as well as having the students have more time to read. So during our pre-conference, we talked a little about your area of growth, and so we both agreed that the book introduction will allow, if we master that, can allow for the students to spend most of their time reading, and where you can kind of prompt in and help them. So during the pre-conference, I suggested that you video record yourself, because as we all know, when you watch yourself and that reflection piece, you learn a lot more just about things you do. Maybe you didn't realize you were doing it when you're actually teaching.
I sound so sweet and gentle when I do guided reading.
Well, I had the pleasure of watching your videos, and I have to say that I really enjoy watching you do your guided reading groups, because you're really excited, and it really kind of rubs off onto the students as well. So while you watched your video, what were some things that you thought that you did well with?
Well, I felt like I engaged the students immediately, whether it was by like using the penny book that we had already read from that series, or activating some curiosity with somewhere they'd never been before, and I really felt like that I got them hooked in really fast, and we were all like ready and excited on the same page really quickly.
Right. What I saw was you were prepared with your materials already out, and when that happens, and because of that, you lose no instructional time. Right when the students come over, you're able to get started, and that's great, because that does lead to the students spending most of the time reading. So what was an area or something that you thought that you want to do better on next time?
So I felt like sometimes I have like an idea that I wish I put in my book intro, and so I like stick it in, and so it starts to sound a little jumbled, and because I get excited, and I'm like, oh wait, I should have told you this great thing, and I think because I've lost focus, they lose a little bit of focus. We're not as focused on exactly what I want them to like learn.
So what I noticed was that this one specific video, you had quite a longer book. And so what I noticed was your book intro was lengthy. It was up to 7 to 8 minutes. And because of that, what I recommend is if you have to with a book that length, splitting it in half and doing a book intro for the first half of the book. And then when the students are moving into the second half of the book, you can then do another book intro. That way you're introducing those different components, pointing out the tricky words in the first part, and that's what they focus on, and then setting them up for the second half of the book. So that kind of leads us into, let's just talk a little about what's the purpose of a strong book introduction. Let's kind of revisit why you wanted to really master book introductions.
Well, the first part is engaging them, and I feel like that I'm doing really good with that, and that they feel like the excitement of like why I chose the book. They feel like I purposely chose this just for them. They feel like it's personal, and also to really set that like strong purpose and prep them to really understand their story. So by giving them character names, by helping them with those tricky words, by giving them the kind of basics of the plot so they know how to follow, makes them much more confident as they start to read.
Right. And that's great, because everything I just heard is exactly why we do a strong book introduction. We want to set them up so that when they get to a point in the book where they're struggling, they have enough information to try to problem solve on their own before you check in. So in the video, you did a lot about explaining the plot and the characters. I did not see as much as the specific of pointing out different
words,
points, even points of the book, different structural pieces that you might want to make the students aware of, or as the words. And I feel in some of I saw for a few different videos. In another video I saw, you did point out some tricky words, and you did talk a little about the structure of the text, but again, it was that lengthy kind of discussion. So let's kind of do a role play. So let's practice together. Do you want me to be the teacher or the student?
The teacher.
Okay, so you want me to model for you? Okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought you would want me to do that. So I grabbed a book, and I'm going to show for you a book introduction, a quick, effective one, so that you can see how after this, my students would still have a lot of time to read. So I'm going to actually have you do me a favor while I do this. I'm going to have you record how long this book introduction is, okay? And that way, and as I'm doing this, I just want you to kind of take some notes and some strategies and some things that I do that you might want to try next time, okay?
Awesome. You ready?
Yes. Awesome. Right. So today we are going to read a fictional story called Hattie and Taddie in the Deep Blue Sea, okay? And this book is about Hattie and Taddie and what they find under the sea on their adventure, okay? So we're going to kind of do a quick walkthrough of the book, and I'm going to show you some tricky words that you might need to know in order to understand the story. So I'd like you to flip through the pages and stop on page 3. And as you flip through the pages, you can take a look at the pictures, okay? Can you look for the word adventure, adventure? Think about that beginning sound, adventure. Very good. Let's read that sentence together. We'll have an adventure. Just like I said, Hattie and Taddie, they go on an adventure. So I want you to think about what an adventure is and maybe if you've been on one, okay? See if you can make a connection with them. All right? Keep flipping through the pages, looking at the pictures, and stop when you get to page 7. Very good. Can you look on page 7 and see if you can find the word muscles? Think about that beginning sound, muscles, muscles. Very good. What comes to your mind when you hear the word muscles? Yeah, the muscles in your arms. Awesome. Very good. Let's read that sentence together. It says, some muscles in their shells. So looking at the pictures, what do you see that's in a shell? Can you point to that? Very good. That looks like a clam, but in this story it's called a muscle. Okay, so when you get to that part of the story, I want you to think about this muscle right here and not the muscle in your arms, okay? And all the other words you're going to be able to figure out from the pictures, or you're going to practice sounding those words out yourself, okay? All right, so I'd like to go back to the beginning, and you are going to start reading, and you are going to read and find out about what Hattie and Taddie find on their adventure under the sea. And as you read, pay close attention to the beginning sound of their names because they have the same sound names, so I don't want you to get mixed up. So pay close attention to that beginning letter, okay?
Okay.
All right, you guys can open your books and start reading. Cool. All right, and stop that timer. All right, so how long was that book introduction?
209.
So under 3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Our goal is like 3 to 5 minutes depending on the length of the book.
Okay.
So what are some things that you saw that I did that could help you hone in and narrow down your book introduction?
You just kind of gave a basic walkthrough. You didn't give much of the plot. You just said they're just going on an adventure. So you didn't really ruin the story for them, but they still had a purpose and an understanding of what was happening. I also noticed that you pointed out a phonics skill for them to notice that beginning and beginning sound of the words, which a lot of time I use a guided question, but it's usually more comprehension based.
Right, and so for Hattie and Taddie, a lot of kids, when you're reading quickly, they see the Hattie and they kind of sometimes don't see that beginning sound and just read through and you know when you start getting into that comprehension piece, they need to know what Hattie found in the adventure and what Taddie found, so they really have to be able to keep those characters. So what did you notice about some other things that you saw within my book that kind of helped me stay on pace and not start bringing extra information? Because as you mentioned before, you start to kind of get jumbled up because new things pop in your head. So what do you think that I use that you could
completely stuck to the post-it notes? You didn't say anything else, which is hard as a teacher because you see those teachable moments as they're looking at it, but I think that narrowing it down helps me, but it really helps them too to focus on that.
And you know, a lot of times the students might start talking about the adventure, and as I said, like, you know, as you're reading, think about maybe a connection you have, you know, tell them, you know, I want you to share about the adventure, but let's see maybe if you have something in connection at the end. Because if you let all, you know, 5, 6, 7 students share, that also extends your book introduction.
Of course,
And then sometimes the students forget the purpose as to what they're reading for. All right, so let's think about planning ahead and going forward. So thinking about your upcoming guided reading lessons, what strategies might you try to set yourself up for a successful book introduction?
So I think that I would definitely write really specific things.
And I'm going to take notes so that you can refer to these action steps for the future.
Refer to really specific things.
Okay.
And like really make sure I only talk about those things that day, and really plan, this is specifically what I want to talk about that day.
Do you think the use of a timer might help you?
Yeah, I think I already use a timer to time how long they read. So within the grand scheme of the 20-minute block I give them. So I think that setting a timer for that first 3 minutes would really push us towards sticking to that.
So you just use a timer for them. Now we're just going to turn it around and use it for me. Yeah, very good. Awesome. And that is totally fine if you have those teaching points. You know, this is an easier book, and a lot of what they find is in the picture, so I didn't want them to do a whole picture walk because they would give away the whole story. But I do want to share that some of your longer books that, you know, maybe read it one day, find those tricky points or those tricky words that you want to, you know, prep the students for, but then maybe put it down, and the next day do another reread. You might find another point or something else. So you don't have to, you know, only have 2 Post-its, but you're taking your thoughts that you have a lot of, as you call it, jumbled, and putting them more, okay, so now that we are going to try the Post-its, you are going to try a timer of yourself.
And rereading the text more than one day.
The multiple, as you said, pre-read of the text might help you. That way you don't miss anything. So now that we've kind of figured out what we're going to start doing, when do you think you can start implementing these strategies?
So I think I will, definitely start next week practicing and really hone in on these specific things that I want to keep in that time limit.
And then when do you think that you can maybe try to record yourself and re-watch to see if you have any big noticings, if you notice a change in your book introduction? Because, you know, I don't want you just to record and watch yourself once. You should really record and reflect again.
So today is Friday, so I'd like to practice next week and then record the following Monday or Tuesday.
So the week of Good Friday, okay. And then that following week, we will pick a date. That week that you're recording, we'll pick another date to have another post-conference to see if we were able to meet your goals.
Awesome.
Very good. All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to really try to master that book intro, because as you know, guided reading is the most important part of that. One of the most important parts of balanced literacy component. So. Do you have any other questions for me? Do you need anything else from me to help you get these strategies in place for next week?
No, I think I'm good. I have a timer.
Okay.
And we'll really reread some more.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Can't wait to watch your next video. Thank you.